Hi, guys. Welcome back to the show. This is episode number 72, Real Talk with freelance artist DJ Sister Sprouse. Welcome to the show, friend.
Hello, friend. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Well, I'm going to just jump right in and let you kind of do a short introduction of yourself for the listeners.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. Well, I'm Emily, also known as DJ Sister Sprouse. DJ Sister Sprouse. I work freelance in a few different realms, so it's kind of difficult to describe like what I do for money, for work, but a few different things. I work in television production. I DJ parties, events, and online. I work in real estate, sort of. So a lot of different stuff.
Yes. You're a multi-hyphenated, self-employed badass, much like myself. What is it that about like your work in TV did you like as a production assistant?
Well, I started off as a production assistant, and more recently, I've been working in television since 2008. So what's the math on that? So, over a decade, whatever.
Yeah.
And now I work as a production manager. My mentor is trying to train me as a line producer. So for those that aren't in the business, I mean, a production manager is almost like an office manager of a TV set. I hire people. I hire vendors. I do paperwork. I get contracts signed. I make sure everyone's fed and knows where to park. And there's more to it than that, but I'm kind of like the contact person for the entire crew. And most recently, the biggest job of my career actually just happened, which I was the production manager for a CBS TV show, New Year's Eve Live downtown in Nashville, Bicentennial Mall. So that was a big deal. But I've worked my way up from production assistant level, which is like a paid intern, getting coffee. My first job ever was picking up cigarette butts.
They hire somebody to pick up cigarette butts.
Yeah, I worked on a show that was essentially the American Idol of Nashville. And there was like a casting call. There was a huge line of people. Mm-hmm. And people leave a lot of trash haphazardly.
Yes, and so naturally just being there, people just leave trash. It's funny to me.
Right. Well, I mean, people throwing their cigarette butts down. So, all these aspiring artists, thousands of aspiring artists are out there trying to get onto this show called Nashville Star. And I was one of a team of many production assistants who had to do just very general work. And part of my general work was cleaning up after that line, after the day had ended. Mm-hmm. And so it really mostly was just like cigarette butts and like Coke cans. But I couldn't believe I was getting paid to do it. I was like, I can rock with this. I'm not in an office. I'm outside. I'm doing something weird. I'm cool with that.
What I noticed in your credits for work that you worked at the CMAs and the CMT Awards. What was that like?
So a lot of my work obviously is in country music, television events.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm cool with working in entertainment. It's interesting. I found a journal entry from like 1999, which would have been my freshman year of high school, that said, in 10 years, I see myself working in the entertainment business. And I guess like every Nashville kid, I thought I'd work in the music business or whatever, but now I work in the TV business, which is it's really cooler to me, honestly. I mean, that business has changed, has evolved a little bit less than the music industry, considering how things work today. But I really like these events. I am not very starstruck in particular by a lot of the artists that I work with, except the time I worked on a Swisher Sweets ad campaign. That was totally different. I had to keep my cool.
Yes. Who was there again? I forgot who was on the Swisher Sweets.
Well, we did several different Swisher Sweets projects, and one particular day we did a photo shoot on my birthday at a studio with Gucci Mane, designer, Fetty Wap, Machine Gun Kelly. I can't remember if anyone else was there. One time we did a concert with Cardi B. I've done a concert with Gucci Mane and Keisha Kaur. Is that how you say her?
Yeah, I think it's how you say it.
Showed up. It was awesome.
So in those instances, you have to try to keep your cool.
Yeah, that's the only time I get a little bit starstruck is when I'm like around maybe like an artist that I'm into. Long story short, I have respect for country music entertainers.
Yes.
They are getting it, how they live.
Right.
But it's okay if they can walk right by me and I'm not going to freak out. Like, I'm going to respect them.
I feel you on that.
Let
It's
them
like,
have
oh,
their
that's
space.
so and so. I mean, I feel like that's how Nashville is anyway. You might see somebody, like, unless it's somebody that you really stand for, like your person, or like you said, like your genre of music that you probably listen to more. And you're usually just like, I mean, I've seen Nicole Kidman across from me at Whole Foods just getting salad. And I was just like, who is this tall person that just shaded the line? I looked up and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I just kept getting my salad. I mean, I'm just like, it's Nicole Kidman, that's cool. But it wasn't somebody I felt like, oh, shoot about.
Yeah, that's like a quintessential old Nashville characteristic, is like, we leave our celebrities alone.
Yeah.
I've had a few friends who are transplants and they're like a little bit excited about what I do. And I'm like, no, stop. No, like, we have to leave these people alone.
Like, you have to, because you can't be the only person that's like freaking out. Like, I think I saw Justin Timberlake too at like Publix before. It was real weird. I was almost like, oh, but I was like, I was on my way somewhere. So I like couldn't even stand out because I was already late. So I'm just like, all right, let me go. But it was weird. I mean, but the thing about it is that they're really honestly being so naturally that I think if I was a celebrity, I would really just want somebody to let me just get my salad, or just let me be in the Publix grabbing something real quick. Like, so I think that's how I think about it. I'm like, let me leave them alone. I'm getting salad. This person is getting salad. It's like a human. Let them go about their day without making everybody else in the store also realize they're in there, because I think they might be kind of skirting by. But to move on, I wanted to have you on the show also because this past October, I did a Sober October. And you've been sober yourself for how many years has it been now?
Over 5. So May 2016 is when I began that journey. Mm-hmm. And so I guess this May, it will be 6 years.
Wow. I remember going to like a dinner with you guys. Was it that long ago? I think you were celebrating, maybe, was it 2 or 3 when I went?
I think you came to a dinner when we were celebrating 2 years.
Wow.
And I don't remember if we probably did 3 too. I think you may have been at that one as well. Maybe you were. Maybe. I know you were at year number 2 because we had a private room in the back of Longhorn, my dad's favorite Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yes, we did.
He loves it.
He loves it. And he was a VIP there. As a matter of fact, they knew who he was and what he wanted. It was
he loves you, by the way. He thought you were like fantastic.
He was so nice. I don't know what to expect when people tell me like, hey, come meet my parents, but it was just the cutest. He was so nice. And I love stories. So older people like to talk to me because I'm really interested in all of their stories and jokes. And I laugh genuinely. I think they're funny. Talk about a little bit about what led you there. A lot of people that follow me online were kind of talking about the Sober October, and honestly, we're sober curious, more or less. And because I was telling people like, I'm just, I'm doing it for this month, just for extra increased focus, to get some things back in order. Also, just to change my relationship with drinking. I think it's always good to do. But talk about what led you to complete sobriety, whatever you're comfortable with, of course.
Of course, yeah. Well, I think that I ended up sober because I was so unhappy. My level of indulgence was extreme, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I started getting, I never really got in trouble as like a kid or a teenager or a young adult. I mean, I was participating in a lot of shenanigans in college, but I never really faced any consequences until I was like 30. Mm-hmm. And so by the time I was 32, I was able to step outside of myself and see, I personally am doing some things that I don't perceive myself as being this type of person.
Right.
And I was kind of becoming someone I didn't recognize, nor someone I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I was like kind of walking around sort of on the brink of enlightenment or something like that. But
Yeah.
in reality, my actions were very fearful, self-centered. I mean, I was like, at the end of like my drinking career, I was like lashing out at strangers violently drunk
Mm-hmm.
in public.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just to put it succinctly. And so I was like, I don't really want to continue that. I noticed behaviors in myself that I got fed up with and wanted to change. And so I think, anytime someone approaches that moment, anytime someone's encountering that moment in themselves, they have a lot of choices. And so I chose a very extreme measure, honestly, because I kind of view myself as like a very extreme person. I always say when I'm discussing this, like the pendulum was over here and had to swing like all the way over here, because
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, perhaps I'm a bit of an all or nothing person.
Okay.
So I'm like all in on the partying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, well, for me personally, probably moderation won't work.
Right.
In fact, I have a lot of examples in my family
Mm-hmm.
of origin, like here and there throughout the family tree, where like they're examples of like, for instance, moderation with drinking, the way they do it, I don't want to be that way.
Yeah.
If
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. I don't know.
I think
I might
it
be being a little
does.
bit too vague. I mean, this is an important part of my life, but also it's not like something that I lead with,
Right.
but it has made my life much more meaningful for me, because I
Mm-hmm.
felt like drinking for me was problematic, but I would never make that call for someone else.
Exactly. Was it difficult for you in the beginning part? Because I think that's the part that most people worry about. Because sure, you have days where you're like, oh, I'm not going to drink today, or I'm not interested in it today. But when it's like a decision every day, I think that's where people worry.
So, yeah, I guess. So fortunately, like I had no sort of like physical dependence or anything like that. I feel like what was important to me about like drinking or partying or whatever was changing the way I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what's problematic for me is, or was, I mean, still is, but like I have a whole new method now,
Exactly.
a whole new MO, is like dealing with my emotions.
Okay.
Often feeling really bad, I would
Mm-hmm.
indulge in like something bad would
Yeah.
happen, or feeling really good. It's interesting. So like clearly the clarity I have is managing my emotions is what I needed to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I recall like the last night I went out drinking ever was like problematic at the end, very.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we had gone out to celebrate great things that were occurring in like with my business partners. So it wasn't like I was super sad and locked away. It was like I was out and about and unable to manage that excitement.
Right.
So I forgot what the original question was, but
just if it was difficult, like in the beginning for you.
So yeah, so what was difficult for me personally is the managing of my emotions. So like now I feel like shit. So what do I do about it now? And I had to remind myself constantly the old methods don't work.
Right.
So let's work really hard to figure out some new stuff. There's like so many resources. There's so many different things one can do. And
that's what I was going to kind of ask you next, so we can kind of segue out of it, was just kind of what methods did you use to kind of unlearn the behavior, and then also which you were speaking to, kind of cope with the dealing with the things that most, or some of us, like yours was maybe an emotion tied to it, whether it be happy or not feeling good, and for others it's a physical dependence a little bit. But what how did you unlearn and then cope with removing alcohol from your life?
So one thing I want to say, and just a general advice, is to ask someone or something else for help if
Okay.
someone is interested in that. So what I did is I sought help.
Okay.
I visited a 12-step program. I started participating in things like that. I found a spiritual design for living that worked for me.
Okay.
I created it. It's like totally made up. And I have a really good time with it, as you know, from my friend. We talk about like our spiritual lives.
Yes.
And I just I had to like seek community elsewhere. So, for instance, if someone is dealing with a physical dependence, that's super problematic, and they need like literal medical help. And there's no shame in that.
Right.
As I'm sure you may know, and people probably know, like physical dependence on alcohol is the only withdrawal that can kill someone.
Exactly.
So, if someone is experiencing that, like, you're going to be okay. Please seek medical help, though. That is something you shouldn't do alone. But the good news is about like I've learned in life is I don't ever have to be alone. And I thought I always was, sort of.
Yeah.
But I'm not. So I sought the help of groups and communities and started really looking within rather than outside of myself.
Yes.
I heard something said, I don't know where, I don't know how, and I don't know when.
I think we listen to so much stuff, the both of us.
So much input. But like, and I identified with this. When I was like feeding my ego, like let's say I'm just indulging in doing whatever I want, whenever I want, because I have all this freedom. I'm like feeding an insatiable ego. So I'm just pouring things into this abyss that will never, like, the effort is just really wasted.
Right.
And so that was like so that is pulling from outside myself to like pull it inward. But instead I can look inward and then like, I don't know, I'm trying to make it metaphorical here, but like instead of looking for all the answers outside and pulling them in, the answers for me can be found inside. And then I can like let them out or share them if somebody asks. I'm never really one to tell people what to do, but if people ask, like I'll tell them what I have experience in. So I don't know, looking inward rather than pulling from outside sources was very helpful in helping me figure out happiness.
So you figured out kind of by removing that, like how to get more in tune with your inner voice is what it sounds like, because like once you've kind of cut out those things, which I noticed, like doing it or just doing it without even noticing I'm doing it, it's like I become more clear in things, and it like the answers are there, stuff I've been trying to figure out, because I mean a couple drinks in and you can't, like my mind doesn't even, it can't put things together anymore. So it's like if I'm gonna have a drink, it's usually when I'm done with things for the day or I've taken care of stuff, because after that, cognitively, there's nothing there. There's definitely no hearing your inner voice about guidance about things that you need to be doing. In what ways have your life and your health improved, your wellness, just overall, like improved since you made that change in your life?
When I recall like having almost like a spiritual sickness, in the sense of I kind of knew I would never be happy. And that's not the case today. Like the case today is I'm going to feel unhappy sometimes, but everything's actually okay.
Yeah.
So, and like a year into not drinking, I started seeing a therapist. So that helped too. But I think it's just my mental health has improved greatly. My physical health. You know what? I was talking to a friend about this recently. It is so tremendous to not wake up with a headache. Man. Especially like, I'm sure other people have this experience, but being in my 30s, My friends and I began to joke about how hangovers were now like 48 and then became like 72 hours long.
Yeah, they're like 3 days.
Oh yeah.
Straight up.
And so now, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I woke up with a headache. And if I did, it was because I had like a sinus infection.
Right.
So really what's changed? Oh, okay. This is it.
Okay.
As soon as I got sober, I determined that I was going to focus on sleep as the pillar of my health. I don't know how I came to that, and I don't know where that came from, but it's almost such a foundational part of my healthcare routine that I don't even talk about it or notice it anymore. But like nothing comes in the way of my sleep.
Yes.
I have like, I guess I have like sleep rituals. Like I do my best, and I'm not like 100% doing this all the time, but I do my best to like get in bed at a certain time. My body is very naturally like waking up at like sometimes like between 5:30 and 7 a.m. Like we're just doing that now.
Yes.
In my old ways, I would stay up until the birds were chirping and then be very regretful of that. You know, I thought I was a night owl. I thought, and that's okay. And I think naturally some people are. Like I think the human animal needs are night owls. They watch over us at night, but I don't think I'm one of them. And I thought I was. And so, you know, immediately when I quit drinking, I was like, I'm going to start going to bed early. I think I like that, which on a tangent is problematic as a DJ, but that's another conversation. Which is why I DJ on Twitch now.
Before we get there, because you know I have to talk about that, I just want to in this part of our conversation off with just saying, what advice would you give somebody who is just sober curious? Like, what advice?
I don't know. That's interesting. I have a question for you too, but I guess if one is sober, what does sober curious even mean? Can you tell me that?
It's just, I think maybe you've noticed maybe some of the problematic things, they vary for each person, and you're starting to just play with the idea that maybe I should stop drinking. And before you get to stopping drinking, you're like there. So it's like maybe you're taking a few days, or maybe you stop drinking during the weekend, you just do it maybe a day on the weekend. So you're kind of starting to change your relationship with it, which is kind of what I've done. It's went down from spirits to like, I only have spirits if I'm out, there's none in the house, down to maybe I might have some wine in the house. Now I'm just down to like Trulies. And I had some wine the other day, and I was like, the next day I was like, why is my head hurting? I'm like, you had wine. Like, so now it's just going boop, boop, like down in steps to eventually you just hopefully maybe like the Trulies don't even taste good to me. So they ain't gonna last long. So it'll end up probably just being drinking on occasion, which instead of every day, which was a thing for me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I follow. So I guess if someone were asking me about that, I would ask that person to consider why. Why are you doing this in this moment? What is it? Is it serving you? Because I believe that it does serve people, some people it doesn't, and some people it does. I am not, remember the extreme nature of myself I talked about. I'm not the kind of person that leaves a drink on the table. Some people are though, and I never understood those people. So I was like, we're different. You and we're different. Can I have that?
Right. Are you done?
I think if I were, I'll turn it back in on myself. Like, why am I looking to do this in this moment? Like, why am I looking to have this drink in this moment? Is it to avoid something? And am I okay with that? Because everyone's answer is going to be different. I mean, I think the why is the important thing.
That's a very good way to look at it, because sometimes it's just, I realize for myself, routine. And I'm like, you can break it, you can change a routine. It's not even I'm sad or I'm happy. It's just, it's 6 o'clock. I do this while I'm watching TV. And it's like, no. And so like, I think a good question is to just ask, like, why am I about to do this? Because luck is more of like, if it's a celebration for somebody, he'll have like a drink. But other than that, like, a birthday or something, but it's not, other than that, it's not, he doesn't drink. So I like thinking about it as like a celebration or a moment or a toast with someone, I think is a good, like how he's figured it out in his life. But to ask why.
And then to further that, like, are you okay with the answer? And, you know, you can do a little like 2-factor authentication right there. Like, why? Here's my answer. Does that work for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the self-awareness part of it is the key. You know, it's interesting about routine. I recall I quit smoking cigarettes like a long time ago, but I loved smoking cigarettes. But once again, it's something that I see the results of it in my family, in my family tree, and I just don't want to sound like that. I don't want to feel like that. I think I have like lungs that are pretty susceptible to stuff. Some people smoke all their lives and have no issues. But the point is, I read, I don't know, a pamphlet, I'm not sure, that said, if you're trying to quit smoking, change up your routine. For instance, every time on your way to work, you get to this particular red light, it's time to light up your second cigarette. And I really identified with that. So what you said about routine, I think a lot of people probably fall into that. Like, I'm done with work, so I stop by my favorite bar on the way home. And the social aspect of it too is probably what's very problematic for a lot of people, because that was problematic for me too. It took me years to settle into the fact that I don't go to bars to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
I have the added unusual aspect of continuing to work in bars for money, which is a great way to justify being in a bar. But you know, I was talking to a loved one recently that was like, wow, it is crazy how much of our social lives are dependent upon alcohol. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's
wild.
It's the, like, where we come from, it's the norm. And so if you want to like transcend that particular norm, the what it boils down to is it's just going to take a lot of thinking and planning. You know, like if I go to a Super Bowl party, I bring a lot of things I want to drink, which is usually seltzer water. I bring a Coke. I love Coke. I don't drink much of it, but when I need to indulge, I'll have a Coca-Cola. So it just requires a ton of thinking. I recall like my first relationship in sobriety. I was like, well, what are we going to do? You just want to go to bars. And I started coming up with ideas. Like bowling, which you went to one night. There's tons of things, you know, I can have it. It requires a lot of thinking. It requires a lot of creativity, but it also required for me a lot of culling down of my social circle, because it turns out a lot of people were merely acquaintances. We were party friends, but we had nothing in common beyond that. And I personally am okay with letting that go now.
So that wasn't a hard part for you, being like,
it was hard. No, it was hard. It was hard being like, well, what do I do now? Like, what do I do now? It just took a lot of thinking to come up with new ideas. And it took a lot of experimentation with literally like reading books and doing cross stitch and trying new workouts. And I started cooking recently, you know, like
most of the like the time that you spent drinking, what to put into that time space.
Yeah. Like, what am I going to experiment with now? Because I'm done experimenting personally with alcohol. And other stuff. So what will I experiment with now? I mean, honestly, when I first got sober, I bought a bunch of crystals and books about that. Honestly, I was like just trying to like understand energy, which I know that sounds like kind of woo-woo, but I'm not afraid of like experimentation.
Well, and it's so many other like things to learn out there of the mystical kind too, that I find interesting too. Like, why not? Like, I understand. That explains like a lot of the decor in your house, a lot of the books that were on your shelves. I see, but that's healthy.
House plants, girl. Like, you know, I started collecting house plants. I don't like to brag about my house plants because the internet is all over that trend now, but like my house plant game is on fire. You know that.
Yes. I haven't seen the ones in the DJ room in a while, the ones that you have on your Twitch background.
You're thriving, and you can see them tonight on Twitch.
Yes, which takes us in. You picked an interesting next adventure for someone who did remove drinking, which you mentioned, like still choosing to work in bars. You're one of Nashville's top DJs. What's that like? You are, whatever. She's shaking her head. It's a whatever. Anyway, what's that like?
You know,
'Cause I was looking you up and it was like Sister Sprouse here. I was like, oh, I probably saw her there and there. Cause you know, the party flyers never leave offline. So
well,
you're
you
on
know,
there.
I always like to, if I ever brag about anything,
Google
this is
me.
it. This is it.
Yes. Go ahead. What is it like? What's DJ life like?
Well, I'm from here. So, so
Yes.
being from here has given me a lot of opportunity, you know, a lot of life is who you know, but,
Yes.
the next part of the answer is I spent a lot of time on dance floors partying.
Yes. Yes.
So I know what I want when I'm in
Mm-hmm.
that role. So I feel like I know, to be honest, what women want, like on a dance floor. And
Absolutely.
I don't know another way to say it, but like that's what entertainment clubs and venues want, is women on the dance floor. So, and then of course, you know, Nashville, if anyone who knows Nashville knows that like now bachelorette parties, you know, tourism, it's
Mm-hmm.
huge here. So that's kind of a really, I mean, from my experience here in this market, it's easy to figure out a way to appeal to that demographic. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I really enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy like it turns out I really enjoy bringing joy. My DJ bio is probably a little bit cheesy, but the thing, like the press thing that I like send out is like, I can't remember what I wrote at the end, but it says something about it's always an honor to bring joy to a room. That's my intention.
Yes.
And I know that though it seems, I don't know, it seems kind of like, I don't know if we can really classify that as like service to others,
It
but I
is
know,
service to others, though. Who else is going to play the music first? And then you do. And then it makes people happy. That's serving.
but thank you. I mean, I agree. And really what I think it does is it brings people back to the moment, which has been a
Mm-hmm.
big focus of like my thought life recently, is like being in the moment, like in the moment.
Absolutely.
So if someone's on a dance floor with their people, you know, they're on a girls trip or whatever, or they're with
Mm-hmm.
their like lover, and
Yeah.
then there's like nothing else in the room but like maybe those 100 people or 1,000 people or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
there's, I don't know, like humans are coming together. It's great.
They're all moving to things that you're playing.
So one idea really, like it, like in that moment, no one cares who voted for whom, and no one cares like about anything except just moving
Except
with each other.
right then.
Those four sweaty walls.
Yes. So I asked everybody that comes on the show kind of what their relationship to spirituality is and how they balance their mental health, self-care, and movement in our busy world.
Oh, so this is like a general comment on how I do all that.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, fortunately, I am not always busy, I guess, because that's by choice. As was mentioned, I work freelance, so there comes a time in my calendar where it's like, uh-oh, I'm working like 9 jobs in 7 days.
Right.
But then there comes a time in my calendar like this month where I'm like, we're going to breathe and we're going to clean the house. And we're going to do the taxes and we're going to attend workout classes. And so I love that part of my lifestyle. It turns out people have found that my lifestyle is pretty daunting. Recently, someone was like, I am fascinated by your freelance lifestyle because I'm terrified of it. And I was like, I was once terrified of it too.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm terrified of a 50 weeks out of the year going to the same place every day lifestyle. So once again, like I need people like you need people like me.
Yes, we all make the collective run.
Yeah.
Everybody is not, I'm with you with the terrified of going to the same place.
Yeah.
I see that.
But I don't judge that. Like we need people to do, and I respect that. And if people are comfortable doing that, that's what matters. So to succinctly answer the question, recently maybe in the recent last year or two, I have been really focused on intention
Uh-huh.
and priorities.
Okay.
And so my priority, one of my greatest priorities is my well-being, because turns out like my society is not looking out for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do that. So what do I prefer? What are the things I prefer? Who are the people that I feel in a preferred way when I'm with,
Yeah.
So I think that most of my life was spent on autopilot, allowing things to happen haphazardly.
Yes.
And in a sense, I still allow that. But now when something is presented to me, I think about, do I really want this?
Mm-hmm.
I try not to, I always say I was operating on a track of like fear
Mm-hmm.
and concern that there's not enough. So I found myself saying yes to things I didn't want to do, being in the presence of people I didn't necessarily want to be in the presence of. And probably all of that was because I was fearful of something about myself or about my life.
Right.
And now I like to say I operate out of faith, which I use in a very general sense. We come from the Bible Belt, and I'm not saying that my definition of faith is not necessarily like a church thing at all.
Mm-hmm. It's not religious.
And from a track of abundance. So like there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty out there for me. If an opportunity passes me by, one more is coming.
Yeah.
If I don't want to be in the presence of a particular person, maybe I should learn to like enjoy the presence of being with myself and wait for the
Mm-hmm.
right person. I know that makes sense to you.
It does, and it will make sense to my listeners because we're all on the same wavelength, the people
Yeah.
that find me, so they'll get it. I understand that. With that said, we're going to close. We're going to take just a second, and we're going to take a quick pause for the sponsors. Hi guys, welcome back. This is episode number 72, Real Talk with freelance artist DJ Sister Sprouse. So Emily, before we close out, I ask each guest, as you know, I'm a certified life coach specializing in happiness and fulfillment. And I want to know, like, tell me what your idea of happiness is and one thing that you're grateful for today.
Oh, my idea of happiness. That's that's like a very big question.
It's subjective.
So I can talk about my relationship with happiness, which is, it's not, okay. So I guess to sound like a greeting card or a daily devotional or whatever, it's like it's not a goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something to be achieved.
Right.
For me, it's something I need to find pretty immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Usually by way of gratitude. So I'm glad you asked for that.
Yeah.
Today, I'll also share this thing, which I cannot cite, which is a shame because I'm sure it's a very important quote. But it goes, great, happy people don't become grateful. Grateful people become happy.
Yeah.
And that is the tool that has helped me to figure out that I'm okay, especially in moments where it really feels like I'm not.
Right.
And so a quick gratitude list, a quick inventory of the things I have.
Yes.
That track of abundance, that there is enough thought, is actually one of the greatest tools in my arsenal. So what I'm grateful for today is this sunshine in this gloomy ass winter season.
Yes.
I had to drive for like an hour and a half this morning down beautiful country roads of Tennessee. That was gorgeous.
Oh my God.
I love a good road trip. I'm in my car. I love my car. I recently bought like the first car that I ever intentionally bought with intention.
Yes.
So it's like fabulous and fun to be
yours.
in.
You wanted it. Yes.
And I'm grateful for this month because recently I was complaining about like I have a lot of free time and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. And then I realized my free time will go away at some point.
Yes.
So I'll enjoy it now.
Yep. Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. I think we were talking about it before, and I'm like, I think I was just telling you, I'm like, I had a moment, like, I think about it, I'm like, it's not always going to be like this because I'm manifesting some other things I want, which is recording with guests and stuff. And they sign up for that, and I'm showing up because that's just who I am. So I want to be on time, I want to be prepared. And so that takes me like planning the episodes. And then I also am doing the coaching and I'm manifesting my people to come to me. So eventually I won't have as much free time because I'll be meeting with people and doing more stuff. So when I don't have anything to do, I kind of chill. I'm like, I'm going to lay on the couch. I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to do stuff that I know when I'm busy, I won't get a chance to do. Mm-hmm. And I want to say one thing I am grateful for today. I always say I'm grateful for community and being able to record this podcast with people who are willing to do it with me, which is so wild because no one said no, but I still get nervous before I send the email that you guys are going to be like, heck no, I don't want to record with you. Leave me alone, crazy girl. But no one has, so it makes me so happy. And I always wake up, I'm like, I get to record with my people today. And I'm just grateful that y'all say yes. And I'm going to piggyback off yours with the sunshine. Like when I looked and we had no rain on that thing, I don't care if a cloud is on top of that sun or what. I'm just like, the sun will shine through. You got a good shine through. I have like a good window shine through. And I will be sitting over here all day long. As y'all can see, we both live by the vitamin D. With that, I just want to say thank you so much for being on here, Emily.
Michelle, thank you too. I love you dearly.
Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Emily, tell the listeners how they can find you, where you at, your websites, all that.
Instagram is at Sister Sprouse. Simple. And I think twitch.tv/Sister Sprouse. So I now often stream DJ sets on Twitch. It's just a really fun way to continue to DJ, but also get to go to bed early.
Yes.
So I try to do Mondays and Wednesdays. So I'll be streaming tonight.
Nice. Okay. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 72, Real Talk with freelance artist DJ Sister Sprouse. Talk to you guys again soon. Bye.